Welcome to the Cherith Podcast. I am Evelyn Ngatia, your host. I am a born-again believer in Jesus Christ, a child of God, also a learning consultant focusing on secure leadership. This podcast has 3 pillars: faith, mental health, and secure leadership. I welcome you. Let's learn, let's grow, let's heal together. Let's walk together on this journey to secure leadership. Happy learning. Welcome to the Cherith Podcast. I'm Evelyn Ngatia, your host. Today's episode is about deep self-awareness, the skill that changes everything. Before we get into it, a bit of housekeeping. Remember to like, subscribe, share, give us your feedback. Whatever feedback you have, whatever content you want to see, feel free to DM, feel free to comment and the like. So today we have a very interesting guest who's going to help us unpack that topic. Her name is Carmilla. So you have probably done countless personality tests. You've done love language tests, attachment styles, and all those other personality tests. But is that all that there is to deep self-awareness? My guest today, Carmilla Edalia, psychotherapist and founder of Counselling Therapy. Karibu, Carmilla.
Asante sana, Evelyn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So nice to have you. Tell us about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Who is Carmilla?
Alrighty. I see you've introduced me in 2 elements. Yes, my name plus what I do. Yeah, I'm Carmilla Edalia. I'm an entrepreneur. That's why I run the practice. That's the entrepreneurship side of me. Aside from that, I am a Kenyan, a woman, about 156 or 7 centimeters tall or short. Highly introverted. I'm mostly introverted.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know. Many people imagine that introverts are quiet or soft-spoken.
Yeah.
Not really. We're just deep people, but we do talk and enjoy talking to people, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so professionally, that's what I'm up to. I'm into the mental health space as a psychotherapist. Intellectually, I would say that I'm creative. I believe I'm very creative and also have a very good memory. That's no wonder why I'm in this field. Good listener, good memory, a love of music. What other part of my identity haven't I said? Personality, I've said. Height, yeah. Come from a family of 4 siblings, not 4. Yeah, I have 4 siblings. I'm a middle child, both by order of arrival and by the traits of middle children. I totally have them. Yes, so that's, in a nutshell, I'd say that's who I am.
All right. But you also you speak at forums, you give your thought leadership around different subjects. And that's how I met you actually at one of the mental health, the mental health expo. And you are a panel speaker. And I really had your engaging thoughts and your unique insights. And I said, I must bring you to this podcast.
Thank you.
You didn't know that.
Nice to know that caught your attention.
It did.
But then, just so you know, early in life as a teenager, I was into public speaking and debate. Can you believe that was part of my identity then? And then because of some complicated experiences, I actually withdrew and took a back seat. I've only recently reclaimed that identity as an adult, Yeah, I was even into acting. Can you believe I was in drama club as well?
Really?
So speaking really is also part of my identity. It's part of the strength I have, eloquence, loud voice, and yeah.
I love that you've touched on your identity, the way you've brought it out, because we're going to be discussing identity at some point on this podcast. But before we get into identity, when you think about deep self-awareness compared to surface level awareness, what is that deep self-awareness when you compare it? What is it? What is deep self-awareness?
Okay, so deep self-awareness, in my understanding, is where we go beyond the everyday, beyond the superficial, what is obvious. In our psychology, we usually have a tool called the Johari's window. And through the Johari's window, you see that it can help a person to become more self-aware because it shows that every human has 4 sides to them. There's the open side, which is very obvious. You can see that I'm a human, I'm a woman. can be obvious. Maybe in this era, it might be debatable, but there are things about you that are pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So to go deeper, there's a part of you that we also call the hidden self. The hidden self is elements of you that are known to a few people, or some of them might be unknown to anybody except you. Maybe some of your achievements, some of your fears. So that's the hidden area. So as you go deeper, it means you're moving beyond the open window. You're going to the hidden window. You know yourself deeply in terms of your emotions, thoughts, abilities, those that are not known to anyone. Another element of going deeper is the part of you that we call the blind side. This is things about you that other people can see, but may not be obvious to you. So how do you get deeper in that self-awareness? Is through feedback. When people can approach you and tell you, you know, you're actually good at speaking, for example. Or they can come to you and say, you know, you can be rude when you're upset.
Yeah.
So the deeper self-awareness is where you're also inviting the blind side of you. You're getting to know of it through feedback. And then finally, we have the side of you that we call the unknown. So for you to know the unknown, you have to take risks, because these are things about you that you didn't know about yourself that come out through experiences. So in certain experiences, you may develop an innovation. In certain experiences, you may coil back. In certain experiences, you may be very instrumental. So how will you know unless you take a risk, you become open to taking opportunities. So deeper self-awareness, you go beyond the open, the obvious, and then you go to what don't I know that I can find out from other people, and then you put yourself out for risks and experiments. Then you keep discovering yourself more and more.
Yeah, I think that really breaks it down into what is the difference between surface level and what is deep. When you mentioned, I think what is hidden and all that, there's a concept called your shadow. I don't know if you're familiar with your shadow, where like there could be parts of myself that I rejected because of trauma. Let's use the example of public speaking. Maybe I was very good at speaking, and somewhere I was told to shut up. Somewhere, some trauma, maybe a teacher or parenting or whatever. And so I sort of recoiled back that strength. I sort of rejected because I was punished for speaking. Is that also part of deep self-awareness?
Yeah. It is part of deep self-awareness, because that could fall under the hidden area, where we're saying now you know that part of you don't want it discussed, you don't want it known anymore. You want it to stay back in that era or timeline of your life, because perhaps the memory or recollection of it may come with some unpleasant feelings of discomfort, or sometimes even regret or shame, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. So when you think about that deep self-awareness, why is it important? And I want you to look at it in terms of, because this is really a podcast, but it also supports leadership. So why is deep self-awareness important in general, but specifically to leaders?
Okay, I'll perhaps begin with the general, then we narrow down to leaders.
Okay.
Yeah, one good thing or important thing that can come out of deep self-awareness is actually fulfillment in life. Because you see, when you get to know yourself beyond the surface and interact with yourself beyond the surface, then you can get to maximize your potential, your gifts, and then you can end up having that fulfillment in life where there's nothing missing, because you have filled in the several dots. Those are known to you, that what you're comfortable and uncomfortable with, you're putting yourself out there for risk, so it can really increase your level of feeling fulfilled. At times also in our current times, you find that we may be chasing for more money, more recognition, and we're not getting there. Maybe it's because sometimes we don't sit and just interact and get to know who we are. So fulfillment is one. Another thing is that with self-awareness, it can also improve your relationships with people, because then, as I said, you can get feedback to know how do people perceive you, because you might have the best of intentions, but the impact you're having on the people you're relating with might be different or off, whether it's you as a parent, you as an employer, you as a leader, as you said. Yeah, so it can also do that for improving the relationships with people. And then with leadership, I know that there are different kinds and styles of leadership. none is superior to the other because each comes with its, strengths and weaknesses, which I guess is something you tell your audience about when you're discussing fully leadership. So also in leadership, you see you're then able to capitalize and maximize on the different leadership skills that you may have, or different leadership styles that you can exercise depending on the matter at hand or the season at hand. Because then you realize in this season, maybe coercion is not the best. Maybe, incentive is the best. You're able to change. Then another thing is just like in the individual life, or your life as a person where there's improved relationships, they can also be improved leadership. There's a school of thought that talks about different levels of leadership that, you need to be advancing. At times you're a leader just because you have the title. I'm the CEO, or I'm the HR. So just because you have the title, then people listen to you.
Yeah.
But you see, if you get deeper into your awareness and have better relationships and connection with people, then you move to the place where you have influence. It's not just because you're the HR. It's because we can see the results. It's because we like that you listen to us and all. And then it can end up resulting in a more effective achievement of the goals you're having as a leader. Yeah, so that self-awareness comes in handy. Yes, at a personal level, can improve your fulfillment, improve your potential. And I see that also at a leadership level, it can improve your effectiveness.
Okay, fantastic. And so before I go to the next question, maybe it's important I ask, you're a counseling psychologist. What's the difference between counseling, clinical? Help us understand.
Yes. Well, the psychologist as a word has to do with the science of the human mind, how people think, how people develop, and how they grow. So it's very scientific, because in psychology you learn about, how a brain is developing from the time someone is in the womb to how they are growing. So you just have information only. Now, when you bring in the counseling bit, counseling now adds to the information, you add a relationship. So when you see a counseling psychologist, you have a relationship with them, because you'll be talking, getting to know each other. So as much as they have the psychological information, now it becomes very specific to you. How is this information applying to you? What can you do with the knowledge? Are you having some challenges or struggles? Then what is the psychological information that can help you through it? Or are you underutilizing your potential? What's the psychological information that can help you to start maximizing? So that's what a counseling psychologist does. They combine the science and they bring in the social element. Then we also have a group of people called the clinical psychologists. So for them, they're the ones who do a lot of diagnosis. So when you hear people talking about bipolar, depression, anxiety, for you to be diagnosed, then it's a clinical psychologist who does that.
Right.
So the counseling psychologist doesn't diagnose. They might spot some areas of concern, but they will not diagnose.
Right.
But remember also, just because someone is feeling anxious or feeling depressed does not mean they need a diagnosis. It depends on a number of factors. So counseling psychologist is a starting point. If they see that it is extreme, then they can refer you to a clinical. And I also have to mention the marriage and family therapist. That's also another branch, which I am also in, because that is also what I have specialized in at the master's level. So for the marriage and family, we don't just deal with you as Evelyn.
Yeah.
We look at Evelyn in context of her family. What's her birth position? What's her birth order? What's her relationship with her parents? What about her siblings? How about her upbringing? How is it influencing her challenges? And how can it influence her progress? So the family therapist will always look at you in relation to the wider perspective. Yes. And so just not you as an individual. We'll always try to see how other people, significant people, are contributing to the challenge and can contribute to the solution.
Wow. I love sitting here and interviewing psychologists and I think psychologists have been such a such a breath of fresh air, such gold to this podcast because
Uh-huh.
first you heal people, but
Uh-huh.
also the information shared
Mhm.
opens the eyes of people, myself included.
Ah,
So as I
good
learn
to
about
know.
family therapy, I
Uh-huh.
don't know where my mind was. Maybe I just thought it's just couples therapy or,
Ah,
I didn't see the
okay.
wider aspect of how that plays out. But that's interesting.
Yes.
So let's get back now to
Mhm.
the practical steps.
Mhm.
How can you practically
Mhm.
cultivate deep self-awareness?
Mhm.
And if you can give us practical examples, the better. But what are those tools?
What are the tools?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we linking this with the identity or very different,
Identity will
or
speak.
will
But if
come
you want
later?
to, if you
Okay,
think it's
I
helpful
focus.
for helpful to what you're saying, you
Mm,
can
mm,
talk about it and we'll
mhm.
see how to add
To
to our,
merge the two.
yes.
Okay, so the reason I brought in the element of identity is because identity and awareness. Identity is just who you are
Mm-hmm.
and how people perceive you, whether you know it or not, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're intentional or not, it's there. And then now awareness is when you become proactive and conscious. That I know how I'm feeling right now, and I know what I want in life right now. I know my strengths, I know my weakness. So awareness is brings in the element of proactivity. You're not just existing on autopilot or by default.
Yeah.
And then also with awareness, it's multifaceted, because as human beings, we are very complex. We are not just one thing. There's the physical you, there's the intellectual you. So it's you being aware of the very many dimensions that make up Evelyn, the many dimensions that make up Carmilla. So you're conscious of, currently in my physical state, I'm okay maybe with my weight, I'm okay with my height, but what I want to change is my my nutrition, for example. So you're aware of how you're faring physically, you're aware of what you're comfortable with and what needs change. Then you move to the other dimensions. So you said it needs to be practical. So for it to be practical, I'd suggest that it's important for someone to know all the dimensions that make them up. I can summarize them like we have the physical body, we have our emotional self that's made up of very many feelings that keep changing.
So now you're discussing identity. Or you identity awareness.
Okay, I'm on awareness.
Awareness.
Yes.
Okay.
So being trying to make it practical is that for you to be practical about your awareness is to first come to terms with the fact that you're not just one thing. So be aware that you're a multifaceted person or a multifaceted system. So there's your physical body, there's your emotions, there's your intellect, there's your spiritual life, there's your financial life. So being aware that I'm made up of all these things. I'm not just one thing.
Yeah.
Then the second step would be, out of every dimension of me, which parts of me am I happy with or are going well? And which parts of me are maybe problematic or a challenge that I'd want to do something about. So that's the next step of awareness. So first, know the multiple dimensions. Then two, get deeper into knowing how are you faring in all these dimensions. And then the third element of awareness I'd talk about would be the aspect of adjusting, what people can call situational awareness, to know that in certain elements, this is who I am. So for example, for me, in this program, I'm a guest. I'm not the owner or the host. So I need to take your lead and not take over, your program, for example. So that's part of being aware of context and how are you operating at, so that you're not one thing in every scenario. And with that, there's a narrative that's very common nowadays about the firstborn, particularly the firstborn daughter, So awareness is realizing, as you're the firstborn in your family, does not mean in every context you're the firstborn. So at work, you're not the firstborn.
Yes,
in your relationship, like your romantic relationship, you're not the firstborn. There you're just a partner or a lover. Yeah, so those three ways I hope make sense or are useful. The multiple dimensions,
yes,
the two sides of the coin, and then the situational awareness or contextual awareness.
Okay. So that's the practicality of the how you can develop that deep self-awareness.
Exactly.
Okay. And you touched a little bit on identity and self-awareness, but I want us to go deeper into that identity. What's the relationship? Identity and self-awareness.
The relationship, okay, that with identity, everyone has an identity.
Yeah.
But not everyone has awareness.
Mm.
Yes. So identity is just by default. Just by being human, just by being a person, already you have an identity. If you look at something like our birth certificates, our IDs, they're a form of an identity, and they usually have multiple kinds of information about us. So, yeah. Yes. So identity is just who you are. You're a woman. You're an African. You're an intellectual. You're this. You're that. Now, the thing with identity, like I said, everyone has it. However, not everyone is driving it. Sometimes your identity can be decided or predetermined for you. So if we see like you're a what, you're a let's say a last born, because you're a last born, it is assumed you're not meant to be that responsible. But you may find that in your personality or your nature, maybe you actually are responsible. So it's for you to be conscious about it and begin to craft, how do I want other people to perceive me? Is it just pegged on the generalize and say last borns are like this, or Africans are latecomers, or all that. So with identity, there are elements of your identity that can be decided for you, and unless you become aware and proactive, then you'll just adopt whichever identity is assigned to you. But how awareness comes in is now where you're able to decide, am I okay with this identity? Do I want to change it? Do I want to work on it? Because identity is also something that you can change. There are elements of your identity that you are within your control, and then there are those that are more about you coming to accept or coming to terms with it.
Like, okay, so let's be practical. There's a way you introduced yourself at the beginning, and you said that's your identity. So with regards to how let's use you as an example. If you allow us
to, right.
allow us to use you.
Specimen.
Yeah. Using your example, how did you come to that identity? I mean, maybe just take us back to how you introduced yourself also, so that we can just speak on what are the areas, how did you come to that identity, how to craft that statement of identity?
Okay, I will say this. I'll borrow a tool or a concept called a mandala, a self mandala. So a mandala usually splits or divides a human being's identity into about 8 elements or segments. I sometimes use that when introducing myself.
Just spell it.
Mandala.
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 Okay.
Yes, if you also use the internet to search for it, you can get more information about it. It's a tool that can help you to be clear about what's my identity.
Right.
So it has multiple facets. So for me, I introduce myself in terms of my physical appearance, in terms of my intellectual identity, in terms of my social identity, coming from a family, being this child number, this. All that makes up my identity.
Yeah.
Now, there are elements of your identity that are within your control. For example, even something like your name, I can decide moving forward, I'm dropping the English name. I only want to be referred to by my African name. So there I've changed the identity. Maybe identity I may not be able to change is something like my height. This is just who I am.
Right.
Yeah. So there are elements of your identity that you're able to change. So using that mandala, it's one way that can help you to just look at your life in 8 dimensions and see out of these 8 dimensions, how do they describe me? How am I perceived by people?
Yeah.
Is this who I want to be? Am I okay with it? Or do I want there to be a shift? The thing you've asked about being practical is coming to terms with the elements of your identity that are not within your control, you can learn how to accept and embrace. Be comfortable and okay with it. Then the elements of your identity that are within your control, then you can become proactive and start doing something about it.
Like, what are those elements that would be outside your control, for example?
So, for example, for me, I've said something like my height. If I'm 157, that's my height. If I wished I was taller or shorter, may not be achievable. So it's just about me coming to terms with how do I make the best out of this height. Maybe I may not change that I'm an African. Even if I relocate or something, that's who I am.
Right.
Now, the elements of me I can change is something, let me say, like my hair. I can decide to turn it red, or whatever. I can dye it. Something like my name, as I said, I can change it if I would want to. Even something like even my intellectual and professional identity. You talked about, I have mentioned about how I used to do public speaking at some point. I'll also mention that before coming into psychology, I was in the business sector. So then I'd be known as a salesperson, a trainer, or whatever. But right now, my identity is on being a psychologist. So some elements of your identity, like your career, your profession, your appearance, there are things you're able to change. Then there are those you're not.
You're not able to change.
And out of the ones you're able to change, you can improve them and decide, I've been known for being late. Now I want to be known for being punctual. I've been known for not beating deadlines. Now I want to be known for beating deadlines. So that's something that is within your control.
And is this something that you review regularly? Like, do you go back and say, this year I want to check my identity again. I want to review it in light of what has happened.
Yes.
How often
if
do
you're
do
big
that?
on awareness, now that's where identity and awareness merge, that you can just have an identity that is on autopilot, or you can become aware and consciously all the time you're able to know, this is who I am intellectually, this is who I am socially, this is who I am physically. Am I okay with it? Yes, let me maintain it.
Yeah.
If I'm not okay with it, let me do something about it. If I'm not maximizing on it, let me start doing something about it. So you can review it. There's no given timeline, like it has to be after 3 months or 6 months. It's at any point that you become aware that I'm either happy or I'm not happy, or I'm struggling or I'm not struggling. And then you begin taking action on the dot.
Okay. Let me take you back a bit to self-awareness. I talked about personality tests. People have done all these personality tests, right? How does that link into your identity and self-awareness?
Doing those personality tests, I know there are very many. There are very many, but they usually have a few things and here and there in common. So most personality tests can tell you about your social identity, how you relate with people. Are you introverted or extroverted? Are you logical or emotional? So that can be part of you understanding your social identity, your emotional identity. Personality tests really help with that. Another thing that personality tests can help you with is even your career and leadership, because you can then learn that with certain personalities, certain careers can be easier or more enjoyable for you.
Yeah.
So actually those personality tests can help you to be more aware of your identity. And then now with the awareness, you can begin to decide, am I comfortable with this, or do I want to change it or do something about it?
Okay. You've mentioned something about emotional identity, and I want to, because I think that's a difficult, more difficult to place or to construct than maybe physical identity, which is so obvious.
Yeah.
So how would you give me an example of how you would an emotional identity looks like?
Okay, emotional identity is when you're able to give a name to your feelings. How are you generally feeling today? Sometimes it's not that easy. Someone can just say, I'm okay, or I'm just there, or I'm feeling some type of way. Actually, that's a statement that people use a lot, some type of way, or I'm feeling ish or meh. So emotional identity is where you're able to start giving a label or a name to the many feelings that you may be experiencing, because hardly do we have just one feeling at a go. So your emotional identity is also very volatile. It changes a lot, the way you said. It's not like the physical. Yeah, so it's just taking that one would be like taking a shower. The way you need to take a shower daily, because every day there are things you're interacting with that you need to clean. So with the emotional identity, you can review it like on a daily. How am I feeling? Am I happy? Am I content? Am I angry? Am I...
Okay.
And then again with awareness, we said if you're okay with how you're feeling as a person, good. Uphold that emotional identity. I'm content. I'm at peace. I'm happy. But if you realize I'm sad, I'm worried, then it means something needs to change about that. And the goodness with emotional identity, it's within your control. You can do something.
So when someone describes themselves, or you describe someone as, she's such a happy person, or she's such a joyful person, or she's aggressive, or I don't know which other word to use, but let's use a happy person generally. So that would contribute, that would be like part of your emotional identity.
It's part of your emotional identity.
Okay, understood. So let's go into trauma. And when you think, because this podcast deals a lot with narcissism and narcissistic abuse. Now, when you look at the victim of narcissistic abuse, how did the abuse affect their identity and self-awareness?
Abuse, most of the one of the earliest or most obvious things it does, it brings some element of blurriness. You become unsure of who you are. Because where there's abuse, there can be some form of manipulation, some form of verbal allegations and all. And you can start being confused. Is this really who I am? So, for example, if you raise a concern and you're told you're too sensitive, or can't you take a joke? So you'll start to wonder, by the way, am I overreacting? Do I usually overreact, or am I able to make sense of things? So it can cause someone to become very confused. Are they who they are, or are they what the abuser labeled them or told them over and over? Another thing that can happen with their identity is that they can become enmeshed or merged with the other person, where their life, their goals, their pursuits, their time becomes about pleasing this other person. So you even forget, what's my favorite color? What are my hobbies? I don't know, because I just want to do what this person wants to be done. So you do it so much until you lose knowledge or awareness of who you are. What do you even like? Which kind of music? Which kind of color? You lose yourself. You become enmeshed into another person's identity, and it's so deep that you can't even tell, is this my choice or not?
Or someone
it doesn't
else's.
even cross your mind. Actually, that's some of the things that is another person who might ask, Evelyn, are you really sure you want your hair brown? And you're like, I really don't know, but just let it stay. So you can become confused. You can also lose yourself, and you start living another person's preference.
I like what you brought out in terms of it, the concepts that we talk about in narcissistic abuse, gaslighting, where someone can tell you you're being too sensitive, or you're being whatever it is, and they're gaslighting you, making you confused as to the real scenario, the truth, what is behind the truth, right? Your reality, in other words,
and even your personality.
And your personality,
because maybe you don't have a sensitive personality, but because you've been told that, you may begin to question, maybe I'm very sensitive, and actually you're not. Your concerns are valid and real.
So gaslighting comes to confuse you. It's a strategy to confuse you so that you're not you're not believing who you really are. You're moving away from that. So that's an interesting part of it. Now, and the one with narcissistic traits themselves, how does that narcissism affect their identity and their self-awareness?
One way it can affect their identity is that they can lose track of other elements of their identity. Because then if you just describe yourself, I'm just a narcissist, which part of your identity? It could mostly it will be interfering with your social identity and your thinking, how you think. But you see, you as a person who might be high on narcissism, you still have a spiritual identity. You're still a child of God. You're still a human being, and you're worthy. But now you'll just be seeing yourself just from one dimension and not a full dimension.
Right.
So that's one of the things. And with awareness is that you may be very focused on controlling another person, that you abandon or lose yourself. That you don't realize, even I need to control my emotions. I need to control my behavior, because you're very concerned. You're very aware of other people, and you lose awareness of yourself. And you might be using also one method or leadership style, the coercive one, and not realizing there are very many other styles. There's connection, there's influence, there's information. So you might even be underutilizing your potential, you who's using narcissism only. Yes. Yeah. So that's what I'd say. And it connects with what you'd ask me about what's the importance of being self-aware. One of the things is you end up maximizing all your potential and not just living on one element or dimension of who you are.
Right. There's something interesting you've talked about, and I just want to expand on it a bit.
Yeah.
You said child of God, right? And again, because this podcast is a faith podcast, I don't know if you want to touch about spiritual identity as well. Is that something you... Is it related to that spiritual identity?
Spiritual identity...
Or is it just general identity?
Spiritual identity is an element of identity, because I'll repeat that our identity is not one thing. It's multifaceted, including spiritual is in there.
Okay.
So if you search for that, the mandala thing I'm talking about, out of the 8, actually spiritual is one of the dimensions.
Okay.
Yeah. So in relation to a spiritual identity, it's more of your relationship with your creator, your relationship with your inner self.
Yeah.
Is it existent? Are you using it? Are you working on it? Are you improving it? Because if we are not intentional or aware, we'll just adopt the identity that we found. We found in this house, people go to this church. So even you go without really sitting and thinking, am I in agreement with what they're saying? Do I really believe in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we get to start working on our identity a lot in our adolescent years. Adolescent years is where people begin to really question.
Yeah.
Is this the only way? Is it the right way? Does it make sense? But if you don't get to that place of questioning, then you'll just have the identity that was assigned to you without you ever really becoming proactive and saying, am I okay with this identity? Is it the one I want? Or do I want an alternative one? Yeah. So with your spiritual identity goes back to your relationship with your source or your creator.
Yeah.
And whether you're working and building on it, or you're just, going with the flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we are running short of time, but in terms of transformation, once you start to intentionally cultivate this deep self-awareness, where do we start to see the changes first?
The we is the observers, or you, the person who is becoming aware?
Actually, both.
It's both.
Both, yeah.
Right.
Do people see you differently? Are they able to say, hey, something has changed about you? Yeah.
With the individual, the first thing they'll notice, or we notice as human beings when we become aware, is our emotions. Because the minute you become aware, you'll either feel good about what you're becoming aware of, or maybe you might feel uncomfortable, or maybe you might feel sad. So the first thing you'll notice is you'll feel your emotions. The next thing that can change would be your thoughts, how you think and how you perceive it. That maybe I've always imagined that I'm interested in this. It's very interesting to realize that I have a different interest, and I wonder what I can do about it. Will people notice? Yes, because after emotions and thoughts, the next thing that will change will be your behavior. It will change. So like I said, if you realize I usually am late, and now you become aware that I am capable of actually keeping time. This is not me by nature. Maybe it's because of this or that. So yes, people can see without you announcing, actually. You don't need to tell them that, guys, nowadays I've become self-aware. It will be very evident in your action. Once you become aware, there's no way it will be without an effect or an impact. It will impact your emotions. It will impact your perceptions and your decisions. And eventually it will impact your behavior as well.
Okay. Okay.
Hopefully it will be good, because what I've noticed is sometimes too much awareness without knowing what to do about it can also cause distress.
Okay.
So it can be a good change or a negative change, but yes, there'll be change and it will be evident to you and to the people interacting with you.
Okay. And so as we close, so someone watching this and they're wondering, I want to cultivate that deep self-awareness. What you've spoken about has really hit somewhere. What would you tell them?
I've said a lot, Evelyn, and I hope it's not confusing the audience.
Yeah.
Yes. So where they begin is recognition that they are not one thing. You're not one thing. You're multiple things. You're a social person. You're a physical person. You're a spiritual person. You're an intellectual person. So step one would be acknowledge all these sides of you. Then step two, repeat, is now start being conscious. What do I like and what don't I like about these various dimensions of me?
Right.
Then you move to the third option of step of making a decision. Do I wanna? What can I start doing or stop doing?
Yeah.
Get proactive about it.
Yeah.
So acknowledge the multiple dimensions, assess, and then start getting proactive. Yeah.
Right.
Hope it makes sense.
Thank you. It does. Even for me, I know I have homework.
Okay.
I have homework.
All right.
And I think you've touched on very interesting topics. The Johari window. You've talked about mandala, which I think I'll go back and just familiarize myself with it. It's the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure the audience has also had things for the first time. And to the audience is, what's your call to action after this session, after this insightful session? What is that one thing that you're going to do after this session to deepen your self-awareness? It could be going to learn more about the mandala, going to learn more about the Johari window, going to learn more about something, or taking a step towards whatever it is you want to achieve in your goals. So thank you so much, Carmilla, for that very insightful session. I'm also challenged. How can people reach you in case they actually now want to do deeper work with you as a therapist?
As a therapist, yeah. Okay. So the brand that I operate under is called Endeleo Counselling Therapy. We are very active on all most social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. Type Endeleo Counselling Therapy. You will find us. Do a DM and somebody will engage with you. Actually, one of the core areas we focus on is self-awareness and acceptance. Yes. So if you need more work with that, very ready for you. Karibu sana. And we also have online and physical sessions. So wherever you are in the globe, we are able to work with you. Also, if you're in Nairobi, we have our offices in Nairobi CBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, for accepting the invite. Thank you.
I've enjoyed as well.
You have, eh? Good. So remember, guys, like, subscribe, share your feedback, tell us what you want to know more of, and enjoy the session. That's all we had time for. Bye.